YouTube is the world's biggest video sharing website. Every day, thousands of new channels are created and millions of hours of footage are uploaded. Think about that for a second. Imagine if your TV had 1,000 new channels and millions of new shows every day. The amount of new content is absolutely insane. Now, I'm not going to quote a bunch of YouTube statistics because I'm pretty sure you know what it is. I just wanted to highlight how incredibly densely populated YouTube is and how ridiculously slim the chances of success are, which is what makes it so impressive that a quirky dude from Sweden has managed to become the biggest solo YouTuber in the world. Now, that might not seem all that impressive, but let's put it into perspective. The biggest sports broadcaster in the UK is Sky Sports, and they have 23 million customers. The biggest sportscaster in the US is ESPN, with 86 million. Both of these companies are massive multimedia corporations with thousands of staff and a bottomless pit of capital reserves to assault us with enormous advertising campaigns to increase their viewership. PewDiePie has over 100 million subscribers, and he's just one guy in a small town in England with a couple of editors. Even more impressively, he's managed to do all this at the same time as accidentally sabotaging his success with missteps and the mainstream media constantly on his case. He is an example of how to be a successful YouTuber. So how do you become PewDiePie? I want to preface this by saying that until about 9 weeks ago, I knew nothing about PewDiePie. I'd never seen any of his videos, and I wasn't a fan of his. Let's start at the beginning. Felix dropped out of university, partly because of losing interest in his field of study, but also partly because he wanted to pursue what had become his passion, YouTube. This brings me neatly onto the first of his qualities that I think has contributed to his success. Not many people would ditch their future in a stable job, drop out of education, which as far as I can tell was funded by his parents, in order to pursue a career as a YouTuber. At that time, YouTube was still fairly young, and while people made money on YouTube, it was usually multi-channel networks, so it's not as though he knew he was marching towards fame and fortune. What he did know, however, was that in the Venn diagram of YouTube and gaming, there was a gap in the market. Generally speaking, the advice often given to people wanting to become a YouTuber is to continue your square job and treat YouTube as a hobby until it earns enough to pay your bills. While it could be argued that Felix was pursuing a lucrative career as a hot dog seller, I think it's far more likely that he was pursuing YouTube as his primary career and selling hot dogs as his side hustle. He had a lot of faith in his decision and the determination to really grind it out and make it a success. They say good things come to those who wait, and Felix obviously disagreed and set out to take what he wanted instead of just hoping it landed in his lap. It took him a little while to find his niche, and he cycled through some popular mainstream games like Minecraft, but eventually he landed on making horror let's play videos and found success with the game Amnesia, and became known as one of those guys who screams while playing video games. This was actually my impression of him before I started researching this video. This helped his channel to gain a bit of attention and a lot of views, and slowly his channel began to grow. Shortly after this, Pewd started uploading a weekly vlog as a way of connecting a bit more directly with his fanbase, and providing some content in addition to the Let's Play videos which had become popular. 3 months later, his channel had gone from 60,000 subs to 500,000. Not too long after this, he demonstrated another attribute of success. A lot of creators on YouTube get trapped into continuously providing the same content because they're often afraid of losing their audience. In Felix's case, he'd started to become tired of doing horror streams due to the emotional toll it was taking, and also the fact that the games weren't scaring him anymore, and he didn't want to fake his videos and pretend to be scared. Despite this type of content being what made him successful, even landing him a deal with Disney-owned Maker Studios to produce his own series, he decided to pivot away from that type of content for the time being. It's something that Felix has managed to successfully do throughout his career as a YouTuber, branching out from just gaming videos into creating popular series reviewing memes, subreddits, and commenting on drama in a satirical yet accessible fashion with Pew News. While he has followed trends with many of his shows, he injects it with his own style of satirical and sometimes surreal humour. These other shows have been so popular that it catapulted his channel from millions of subs to tens of millions. Being highly adaptable and identifying a new direction for a business is something that I think it's fair to say Felix has become a master of, at least within the arena of YouTube. At one point, Felix disabled comments on his channel, and he used Twitter and a newly created subreddit to interact with fans because his comment section had become a place where people would spam self-promotion for their own channels. This turned out to be a blessing in disguise, as it led to him having one of the busiest pages on Reddit, a place where interaction between him and his viewers is pretty common. While he does sarcastically refer to people who watch his videos as fans from time to time, he tends to speak to them as though they're just friends who are chatting with him at home. It's this down-to-earth approach which has helped to make him relatable. Many other YouTubers have allowed their success and popularity to affect their fan interaction, and quite often consider themselves above it. Felix, on the other hand, has always maintained a strong connection to his viewers. I think that Felix's desire to keep control of his channel and edit most of his videos himself has done a lot to keep the down-to-earth feel of his shows and help his audience remain connected and part of the channel. When he finally did hire some editors, he made sure to hire people that managed to retain the same personality in his videos that he'd spent so long cultivating. That connectivity to his audience has led to Felix having a really good understanding of them. All entertainers of any kind ultimately strive to create a connection and understanding with their audience in the beginning of their career. Sadly, a large amount of those people become more and more disconnected from that audience the bigger they get. While some of the really big names in entertainment often say things like, "I make movies or music for me, not for the audience," which is equal parts disingenuous and stupid. Felix doesn't really make that mistake and manages to mostly understand his audience and provide material that they're interested in, and even listening directly at times when they voice a liking or a disliking of a particular thing. Felix acknowledges and understands that his audience is the reason that he's where he is, and that the process of being a YouTuber isn't a one-way interaction. You can see this in a lot of his videos, as he often uses phrases like "we did it" when completing games, and he speaks collectively when attempting to do things in games. While I can't say it conclusively since I wasn't able to get in touch with Felix to comment on this video, I think it's a fair assumption that Felix considers his channel to belong to the fans almost as much as it does him. When his viewers are genuinely upset about something, he does his best to understand why, rather than just dismiss them. Like with the previous point, Felix has so far avoided becoming detached from his audience despite becoming very wealthy and well known in popular culture. Part of the reason for this is that Pewds isn't afraid to poke fun at himself.
Move! I'm not seeing that movement! Move! Oh my god! Now I know I'm not supposed to have my own opinion, but I cannot relate to this whatsoever. I have personally not have any experience of being on stage and not having that connection with the audience. Never happened. Okay, goodbye.
And while the mainstream media labels him and his fanbase 9-year-olds, rather than become defensive and upset about this like some other people have, he adopted the moniker and now wears it as a sarcastic badge of honour, demonstrating that he's not afraid to be the target of a joke, even as much as including stories of his own mistakes in his parody news show, Pew News. Being self-deprecating and showing that you don't take yourself too seriously is a good way to create a relaxed and fun environment. While in the beginning he was criticised for his style of humour, it's evolved over the years from a more childish and puerile one to a slightly more subversive and ironic one. During his Reddit review videos, it's pretty common for Felix to mock himself and his status, whilst also lampooning the original targets as well, showing that he thinks his success and popularity is as ridiculous as his detractors think. Behaving like this is a good way to allow people to open up and join the fun, as he is in effect giving license to his fans to mock him as well. It's such an effective tactic that in his subreddit, a lot of the memes which are submitted for him to review are ones which mock Felix and his past behaviour, which Felix will review and jokingly get angry about. At one point or another, most big YouTubers have become involved in some kind of controversy, with pretty much all these people either pretending nothing happened or cynically turning that incident into some way to generate sympathy for themselves. When Felix has become involved in something and it's his fault, he's actually mocked himself for it. In his early career, he used language which some people consider inflammatory, and he has since admitted that it wasn't a good idea to use it, and apologised for it. During a spat with popular streamer Alinity, she falsely claimed one of his videos and abused copyright law as revenge for referring to another female Twitch streamer as a thought. Felix did show his frustration during his Pew News show for the fact that Alinity was effectively stealing his content and profits, but he did also apologise for his use of the word and admitted that perhaps he could have chosen his words a bit more carefully.
In a negative way. It's just a joking word. But I do want to apologize to Alinity and be clear, it was never meant to hurt or upset anyone.
When he got in trouble for a joke where he paid two Indian guys to hold an anti-Semitic message, he took responsibility and apologised for it, even though it was always intended to be a sarcastic attempt to highlight how people will do anything for money. He didn't just put out a short tweet or a written apology composed by a PR agency, and he didn't just print a tiny retraction and bury it in a section of his channel that nobody watches like mainstream media does. He made a video on a highly watched section of his channel and gave his mistake equal time and weight to the other stories of that show. He's a lot more honest and open about his mistakes than traditional media is. The biggest issue to have hit his channel is when he accidentally dropped the N-bomb during an online game. Let's be real, this is the 21st century and dropping the N-word is pretty much a death sentence for an online personality. And it's not exactly been good for Felix either, with almost all of his detractors using it to call him racist. A lot of the time when other people make the same mistake, they will try to make excuses for why they use the word, with some people even laughably trying to claim that because they're 10% black it's perfectly fine. In short, they don't accept that what they did was wrong. In his response video, Felix explained what he did, he apologised for it, and he even stated that there's no excuse.
And I'm not going to make any excuses to why it did, because there are no excuses for it. I'm just an idiot.
Owning up to one's mistakes is a thing not many people do, even less if they're a public figure. It displays a level of honesty in PewDiePie that helps to maintain that connection with his audience, and despite him having to apologise for things quite often, his apologies often come across pretty sincere, since you can tell it's his own words and not some drafted PR statement. It would be easy to look at his larger-than-life YouTube persona and say that there is very little sincerity to PewDiePie, but I don't think that would be fair. I would agree that oftentimes he is playing an exaggerated version of himself, but we shouldn't mistake that for being insincere. His apologies, and more importantly his messages direct to his viewers, always convey a level of authenticity which makes it easy to connect with him. I don't think that Felix thinks of the connection with his fans as a simple creator-viewer relationship. I think he genuinely thinks of them as friends in a way. He shares aspects of his life very openly and honestly with the people who watch his videos, and this has helped to create a relationship with his viewers which is fairly unique in my opinion. Rather than just being people who watch and enjoy his content, they seem to be people who genuinely like him as a person and they're kind of interested in his well-being. When he was going on his honeymoon, following his wedding, the people of his subreddit stopped posting memes for him to review, and instead posted messages of congratulations and told him not to vlog his honeymoon and just enjoy himself. I don't think his viewers would have done this had they not felt that his chats with them had been honest and sincere. There's a few forms of charity. The more obvious type is where someone either donates money or raises money, and also there's the type where someone will help people more directly. On his channel, Felix has demonstrated both types on a fairly regular basis. When popular YouTuber Jesus Christ was banned from website Fiverr, Felix did what he could to help him using his status, popularity and visibility within YouTube to highlight Jesus' plight to a bigger audience, which subsequently helped to restore his account. When Jesus later uploaded a video pleading for help as his kids were being taken away from him, Felix again did his best to highlight the issue and encourage people to help him out, and promoted both Jesus' video and his Patreon, but without being preachy about it. While these things seem like nothing, it clearly meant a great deal to Jesus because he posted a very emotional video thanking Felix for his help. Something else which Felix does to show his more giving and charitable side is that he used to promote other smaller channels at the end of some of his videos to try and use his visibility to shine a light on smaller YouTubers which he felt made good content. As a small YouTuber myself, I can't tell you what a big help this is. It takes a long time to make it as a YouTuber, and even if your content is good, you still might not make it. So for Felix to take the time to give back to the community in this way is not only an incredible gesture, it's genuinely very helpful too. This has of course got him into trouble when one of the videos that he promoted contained footage from the Charlottesville incident, but in truth, I doubt that he would have even been aware since the clip was very short. I myself didn't recognize the clip when I watched to check how severe this issue was. Maybe to Americans who were very familiar with this incident it stood out, but to someone outside the US, it's not instantly familiar. In addition to providing support and promotion to other YouTubers, PewDiePie has done a lot for charity throughout his time on YouTube. Over the years, he's raised money for a variety of different charities by doing live streams, including St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, World Wildlife Fund, Charity Water, Save the Children, Children's Rights and You, and he teamed up with Jack Black to raise money for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And with a little help from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, he also raised over $1.3 million for Charity Red during a 2-day Christmas livestream. In addition to holding events to raise money for charity, he does also donate some of his own money too. I think you can tell from Felix's charity videos that he does have a real passion and interest in helping other people. It doesn't look like an exercise in PR control for him, and he genuinely is very appreciative of all the people who join his charity streams and donate money. I'm not saying that PewDiePie is perfect, hell, even Felix himself constantly points out the opposite. The point of this video isn't to deify it or even promote him, it's just to demonstrate how and why he is the world's biggest solo YouTuber. So how can we become PewDiePie? The truth is you can't. There's only one PewDiePie, but you can learn an awful lot from following his example. I really hope you've enjoyed this video.
If you did, smash like, consider becoming a person.